Apple hasn't been selling phones. They've been selling feelings. And once you understand this, you'll never look at a new iPhone the same way again. Every single year, Apple releases a new model. There's a keynote, sleek visuals, confident language, and a sense that something important just happened. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people don't like to admit. The majority of iPhone users don't upgrade because their old phone stopped working. They upgrade because Apple makes the old phone feel old. Not broken, not unusable, just outdated. And that emotional shift is not accidental. It's engineered. Your phone still sends messages, takes photos, runs apps, and does everything it did before. But psychologically, something changes. Suddenly, your device feels one step behind. And when millions of people experience that feeling at the same time, it creates pressure, quiet pressure, to upgrade. What makes this powerful is that Apple never forces the decision. There's no warning saying your phone is obsolete. There's no hard deadline. Instead, Apple lets comparison do the work. You start noticing newer models around you. Friends upgrade. Online conversations shift. And slowly, your perfectly fine phone feels like it's falling out of sync with the world. This matters because Apple didn't invent this strategy just to sell hardware. They refined it into a system that keeps people upgrading regularly, willingly, and without resentment. And here's where it gets interesting. Most users believe they're making a rational decision. They feel informed, in control, even smart. But in the next segment, you'll see how Apple sets this entire cycle in motion long before you ever think about buying a new phone.
Apple didn't always sell phones this way. Early iPhones were genuine leaps forward. New screens, new interfaces, new capabilities that clearly replaced what came before. Upgrading felt obvious. But as smartphones matured, innovation slowed. Hardware improvements became smaller, more technical, less visible. And that created a problem. How do you keep selling a premium product when dramatic change is no longer possible every year? Apple's solution was not to chase radical innovation. It was to redefine what progress feels like. Instead of asking customers, "Does this phone still work?" Apple trained them to ask, "Is this still the best version?" That shift is subtle, but powerful. It reframes satisfaction into comparison. And comparison always creates winners and losers. Apple presentations reinforce this mindset carefully. They don't emphasize what your old phone can still do. They highlight what the new one does slightly better. A brighter display, a faster processor, a camera improvement most people didn't know they needed until they were told. Marketing experts understand this principle well. People don't need perfection. They need reassurance that they're not falling behind. By the time you start thinking about upgrading, the groundwork has already been laid, and you didn't even notice it happening. Apple's power doesn't come from pressure. It comes from patience. Instead of pushing urgency, Apple waits. Contracts quietly expire. Trade-in offers appear at just the right moment. Financing options make upgrades feel painless. And socially, the world moves on. At this point, staying with an older phone doesn't feel wrong, but it starts to feel uncomfortable. You're not excluded, but you're no longer aligned with the latest standard. This is where emotional tension peaks. You're not being told to upgrade. You're being invited to realign. And because Apple never rushes you, the decision feels personal, reasonable, even responsible. Software completes the cycle. New operating systems are designed around new hardware. Interfaces evolve. Features expand. Performance expectations change. Older phones still work, but not optimally. Nothing dramatic happens. No single update ruins the experience. Instead, small frictions accumulate. Animations feel slower. Battery anxiety increases. Apps feel heavier. This is not sabotage. It's alignment. Apple builds forward, not backward. And over time, the experience gently nudges users toward the future without ever pushing them. At some point, the question shifts. It's no longer, should I upgrade? It becomes, why haven't I yet? And when that moment arrives, Apple has already won. This strategy works because it preserves trust. Apple never breaks the relationship. They don't shame users. They don't pressure them. They let the user arrive at the decision themselves. And that's why customers remain loyal. Apple's real product isn't the iPhone. It's certainty. Certainty that the device will work. Certainty that the purchase won't feel like a mistake. Certainty that upgrading is safe. That's how Apple sells the same phone every year, not by forcing change, but by redefining what progress feels like. And once you understand this, you'll never look at new products the same way again.